Test 6. This is the IELTS listening test. You will hear a number of different recordings and you will have to answer questions on what you hear. There will be time for you to read the instructions and questions, and you will have a chance to check your work. All the recordings will be played once only. The test is in 4 parts. At the end of the test, you will be given 10 minutes to transfer your answers to the answer sheet. Now turn to part 1. Part 1. You will hear a conversation between the director of a childcare centre and a parent who want to enrol his child in the centre. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 6. Now listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 6. Good morning. Welcome to the Early Learning Childcare Centre. How can I help you?
Good morning. I came across the advertisement for your childcare centre last week, and I'm calling to get some details. I'm thinking of enrolling my daughter.
OK. What do you want to know, sir?
Well, I've learnt from the brochure that there are different types of caring, and I'm interested in the short day one. How much is the cost?
Well, it depends on the age of your child. For children over the age of 2, we charge $30 a day, and for those younger than 2, you have to pay $37.50.
Does it include meals?
Well, I'm afraid not. You have to pay extra for them, but we offer you free care for 20 hours weekly. It used to be 10 hours, but this month we extended the length of time as a special offer for our clients.
Oh, that will be of great help. OK, that's about the fee. Then may I know more about your centre? Something about the children's activities, the staff, etc.?
OK. We offer a diversity of indoor activities which cater for children of different ages. For example, painting with watercolours, singing, dancing, games, etc. Moreover, when the weather is good, we always take children to our playground and organise different programmes in the open air.
That's great. Outdoor activities are essential for children. What about the teachers? Are they experienced?
Of course, all teachers in our centre have relevant working experience of at least 3 years and specialise in primary school education.
Great. Then they must be professional in dealing with children. Another thing is, I've heard from other parents that they can receive a report from their caring centres every weekend about how their children perform during that week. And I wonder, is there anything like that in your centre?
Yes, we provide that too.
Great. Then I want to enrol my daughter as soon as possible.
Well, I'm afraid we have no vacancy at the moment, and you can't join until the beginning of September because one child will finish caring at the end of August.
I see.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 7 to 10. Now listen and answer questions 7 to 10. Then I will talk about our staff. All of our centre's members are well trained so that they will take care of your children in every aspect. For example, when doing activities with special needs, our staff will prepare all the necessities for children, like aprons in the painting class, sunglasses and sun cream when playing outside in a sunny day.
It's great that you can consider that. I thought we had to prepare for these by ourselves.
You must provide something. A family photo. Many children may miss their parents, especially during the first week, so our staff will take photos of every child in case they need them.
Right. Apart from the professional knowledge of caring, are there any other requirements for your staff?
Well, actually, when we do the recruitment, the priority we consider is the general health of the staff. So each applicant must provide a health certificate from the doctor.
Yes, I agree it's essential. I've learned about your centre and I'm pretty interested, but I still have to discuss it with my wife.
Of course. Then I'll give you the contact details of our centre, and if you want to register, you can call us or even have a visit if you like.
Okay, what's your address?
It's number 75 Calliope Avenue, that's Calliope, Walkie.
Okay, number 75 Calliope Avenue.
And the telephone number is 47896354.
Okay, that's everything I want to know. Thank you very much.
You are welcome. Bye.
Bye.
That is the end of part 1. You now have half a minute to check your answers to part 1.
Part 2. You will hear a radio program introducing a holiday resort to visitors. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 16. Now listen carefully and answer questions 11 to 16.
Welcome to our radio program, Travel with Me in Australia. I'm Anna, the presenter of the radio show. In today's session, I will introduce a fantastic place to you, the Coconut Beach Resort, which was newly built and opened to the public several months ago. I visited the resort last week and had a wonderful time there. Now I will give some details. First of all, who is the target group? As it is a beach resort, it's not suitable for backpackers, of course. With little houses alongside the beach, this resort is the best place to spend time with your beloved one. I know several newlyweds booked cabins there to spend their honeymoon. However, it isn't an ideal destination for families with several children because it may be beyond the budget. About the accommodation, you can choose from different types of rooms, and the price differs a lot. Take the bathing facilities, for example. I booked a room with a spa bath for the first 2 days, which is the most cost-effective one. But for the 3 days left, I changed the room and lived in the one with a private pool. It was my favourite, I have to say. Every night I could relax in the pool, which is so personal and secluded. And the third option is a room with a private beach, which I want to experience next time. The resort has various facilities catering to the needs of different visitors. There is a golf course, and if you want to play, you can either hire the equipment on the course or buy it in the golf shop. If you're going to bring some snacks and drinks and relax in the open air, you can go to the picnic area, which was extended recently. The good news is that a horse ranch was added to the resort, so you can try horse riding if interested. You can also visit a range of attractions, like the farm, waterfall, etc. I went to the town on the first day to enjoy the local food and talk with the local people. Then the next day, I joined a tour group to the rainforest. It was my first time seeing a rainforest, and I was struck by the thick vegetation and diverse species, so I recommend it to you. If you like, you can even explore the rainforest. Walking among the densely covered forest, you can find different species of plants and animals. It is an exciting activity for both young and old, so all the people who have been there loved it. Don't worry, you won't get lost, as a guide will lead you throughout the exploration. The most popular attraction is called the Sound of the Birds. It used to be open at weekends, but it was always crowded with people. As a result, it has changed the schedule and put it on the last 2 days of the weekdays. I think it will give visitors a better experience.
Before you hear the rest of the talk, you have some time to look at questions 17 to 20. Now listen and answer questions 17 to 20.
Besides the recreational facilities, I'd also like to introduce you to some other facilities in the resort centre that may be useful. First, it offers a transfer service. You don't have to rent a car or take a taxi when you arrive at the airport. A bus will pick you up and take you directly to the resort. It leaves every 24 minutes, and there is no extra charge. For coffee lovers, there is a cafe in the centre, and it opens from 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. If you want to reserve a guided tour of the attractions, go to the tour booking office, which is located next to the cafe. However, the tourist shop is being refurbished and isn't open at the moment, so if you want to buy some souvenirs for your families or friends, maybe you have to go to the town. The last thing I want to mention is there is an Aboriginal tribe near the resort, and if you are interested, there is a visit every Wednesday. Maybe some of you have learnt Aboriginal history or Aboriginal traditions at school, like traditional dancing and blanket weaving. But this time you can experience by yourselves, appreciating Aboriginal rock painting and even talking to well-known painters. What's more, a local herbalist will introduce you to the herbal treatment, which is commonly used in the Aboriginal tribe. It is an educational visit, and I'm sure you will learn much about the Aboriginal tribe. Okay, that's all I want to introduce today. If you want to know more exciting holiday resorts in Australia, please wait for our program next week. Bye.
That is the end of Part 2. You now have half a minute to check your answers to Part 2.
Part 3. You will hear a student called Ross talking to his tutor about the courses he is thinking of doing. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 25. Now listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 25.
Hello, Professor. I'm Russ. I spoke to you on the phone last week.
Ah, yes. Come in and have a seat. You want to talk to me about the archaeology course, right?
Yes, I've read the handbook, but I still have some questions and want to know more details before deciding whether to do it.
Right. So what would you like to know?
Well, first of all, when I choose the archaeology course, can I integrate it with other subjects? For example, one in anthropology?
Yes, it can be combined with any other subjects apart from classical history. That's because there is some overlap in the lecture times for those two courses. We weren't able to coordinate them.
That's okay. Then about the modules, could you tell me the details?
In the first semester, there are 3 modules, all of which are compulsory.
What about optional modules?
Well, we don't offer optional modules until next semester.
Okay.
The first module is called Object Matters, and Dr. Morris teaches it. This module is mainly about what can be learnt from specific artifacts, such as pottery and stone tools.
That's something I've never heard about. I'm interested. How is the module presented? I mean, is it all lectures?
Well, you mean the learning method. In this case, its lectures are combined with practical sessions, so it's a mixture.
What about the content of the module? I suppose we will be looking at different kinds of archaeological remains and how to date them, that kind of thing.
To some extent, yes, but the module is based on processes, and it covers 4 aspects in detail. First of all, recording material, and then classification, then the interpretation of the data. That's how archaeologists conclude their findings. And finally, display. Is that okay for you?
I think so. Yes, thanks. Oh, one important thing. How is the module assessed? Should we take an exam at the end of the semester?
No, it's all based on coursework after each lecture. So try your best when the lecturer assigns you a task.
Okay.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 26 to 30. Now listen and answer questions 26 to 30. The second module's title is Towns and Cities. It is taught by Professor Elliot, the head of our department. And, as the name suggests, the module focuses on the origins of built environments and how they developed.
That's mainly factual, I suppose.
It is, and for that reason, it is assessed by examination. But instead of a written exam, we set it as an oral one, as we think most students prefer this way.
It sounds a bit scary. I prefer written exams.
Don't worry too much. Most of our students find they enjoy it.
Okay.
And then the third module is called Method and Science. And in this module, Dr. Thompson will introduce you to the standard techniques used in archaeological fieldwork and analysis, such as excavating and dating.
What about the learning method for this module? Are there any lectures, or it's all laboratory work?
Oh, there aren't any lectures. It combines half lab work and half seminars.
What about the assessment?
Oh, you are lucky. This module has no formal assessment, but right at the end of the module, you will have to take part in a site survey.
That's great. Where shall we go for the site survey?
Sorry, I can't tell you the location yet. That would be announced later. The date for that is the week beginning the 10th of March.
Okay, that's all I want to know. Thank you very much, Professor. Bye.
You are welcome, Ross. Bye. That is the end of part 3. You now have half a minute to check your answers to part 3. Part 4. You will hear a lecture about the effects of the digital world on young people. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40. Now listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40.
In today's lecture, I'm going to talk about digital technology, especially the changes occurring due to the rapid spread of digital technology in the last decade of the 21st century. First, what is digital technology? Well, digital technology includes any computer-related devices like mobile phones, the internet, email, instant messaging, and so on. This lecture is based on the opinions of Mark Prensky and what he believes are the main effects that high exposure to digital technology has had on young people today. Prensky believes that because today's young people have been born into a digital world and spent a long time simply playing with technology, they have changed in fundamental ways. He thinks they are evolving differently, and as a result, processing information differently from the last generations. These young people's brains may have physically changed, although no clear evidence exists. Prensky believes that we humans can be divided into digital natives and digital immigrants. Of course, today's young people belong to the group of digital natives because they were born into this new digital age and grew up just as native speakers of the digital language of computer technology. However, digital immigrants are the people born in the generations before the digital age. When people learn a second language, they often retain their foreign accent. It is the same with digital immigrants. They aren't quite as effective at speaking the digital language as the natives are. Prensky illustrates this in detail. For example, instead of using the internet as a primary source of information, digital immigrants prefer finding phone numbers with a phone book or looking up information in an encyclopedia. Prensky refers to this as the digital accent. Another example of the digital accent is scanning a manual for a computer program, but the program itself will teach you how to use it. People with a digital accent always rely on their original non-digital means of sourcing information. They prefer doing things as they've always done, rather than typing something into a computer. Due to this, Prensky predicts it will bring many changes, especially in education. Other educators and theorists, such as Thompson Allen, Samuel James, and Peter Vander, also give their opinions. Samuel James is a famous educator from the University of Sydney. He agrees with Prensky's idea that today's educators are no longer thriving in how they teach. However, some more traditional theorists, like Peter Vander and Thompson Allen, don't agree. They criticize many of Prensky's assertions. Vander argues that a typical classroom is much more different from what Prensky believes, with students from various backgrounds. He believes that many of these students are not necessarily proficient with technology. Then, Allen adds his opinion that even though most students in modern times can access computers at home or school easily, some don't find the digital medium appealing. However, James disagrees. He argues that all today's students share the same basic, interesting knowledge of digital technology. However, even so, James believes that our younger students can communicate with their digital immigrant teachers and still learn with the teaching methods that were quite effective in the past. Allen believes that both digital natives and digital immigrants have to process a large amount of information in today's digital world. He thinks that although most young students today are good at playing computer games or surfing the internet, they use computers in important ways. They are not used to using computers at advanced levels, for example, to carry out complex information searches, which are essential for university study today. Unlike Allen's research, James believes that computer games can play an important role in the classroom. For example, teachers can combine interesting computer games with the lessons to attract students' attention. However, Vander has different opinions. He argues that teachers are always the leading part of the classroom, and no computer program comes close to doing what a human teacher does every day. As a result, we should think of better ways to assist teachers rather than focusing on developing games.
That is the end of Part 4. You now have 1 minute to check your answers to Part 4.